Hey guys, the other day I was riding around with three girls in the car, and there was a song on the radio. As I'm listening to the song, it started, the girls were singing and they were telling me what the song means. And the song means that a man needs a woman, but a woman doesn't need a man. That was what the song was about. And I'm like, wow. And a couple days before that, I was watching some memes go by. I was, spinning through all my memes and stuff like that on Facebook. And I noticed a lot of the Filipinas were posting stuff kind of anti-men. I've heard this conversation many, many times where, you kind of sit there and kind of like, wow, this is kind of whacked out what you're hearing. And I've heard a lot of stuff. Let me put this light on over here. I've heard a lot of stuff being said in between women and giving them the high fives and stuff like that amongst young Filipinas over here. And it kind of makes you wonder how much things are changing here. And I've noticed in the past 5.5 years that the younger women are really, really changing. You can see it in their attitudes. They've lost that kind of naiveness about the world. They've taken on a lot of the Western things that men don't like anymore. And I noticed that these older guys are coming over here and they're talking about being with a 20-something-year-old woman. And I think a lot of the girls in the city now have already been, westernized kind of. And they go out to the country and they try to get the provincial girls or whatever. And these guys are like in their 60s and 70s. I have nothing to, hey, that's your thing, dude. You do it, you know what I mean? But I think you're asking for trouble when you're doing that versus going after somebody in their like 40s or 50s or, mid 30s or something like that. Because I think a lot of these girls have been so into their phones and stuff like that. They've picked up all these bad habits. And I see it in the kids here too. I see the kids, they're just stuck in their damn phones because the kids here used to be playing ball out in the street. I remember being back here in the 80s and the kids were so much different than they are now. The kids are getting chubbier, fatter, and they're stuck in their phones. The parents, when they want to pacify their kid, they give them a phone to watch something on the phone, cartoons or something like that, and it's kind of sad because this generation is being raised off their cell phones. This generation everything is going to be revolve around the phone. It's almost like they're cyborgs. The phone is a part of you. And that's actually kind of a truth even with adults today, that a lot of us, our heads are stuck in our phones watching vloggers like me, or watching other people. They're stuck in, they're really stuck inside their phones. It's a piece of you. When you lose your phone, I mean, I've lost my phone for, a half an hour one time. And I remember going crazy for my phone. I'm like, man, I need that phone. Everything I live for is on that phone right now. You go crazy. You get really weird. It's like, what am I going to do without my phone? I got to find it, or I got to buy another one. And it's part of your brain is actually on that phone. I live and die by my phone just like everybody else does. I mean, I think we all do nowadays because of the way things are in the world. But it's changing women over here in the Philippines in such a way that it's almost scary. We all kind of can see it over here, that the people that are living over here, I see it for sure. Maybe some people don't notice it, but I do see the younger generation of women becoming more westernized. I see over here a lot of things changing over here as far as dating, the way women are with men. They're not as loving and as passive and as caring as they used to be here, because that Western mentality is creeping in here over in Asia. It's creeping into the songs over here in Asia. Like I said, the one that was on the radio, it's creeping onto their Facebooks and memes and all that stuff, and music and everything else, and just their daily life. I mean, I walk through some of the malls here and I see things on shirts that they're selling to young women and stuff like that, to kids. And it's kind of like brainwashing people. It's, it's a lot to do with feminism. That's whatever the world is trying to teach these people. And it's actually catching on, which is sad, because I see this when I walk through the stores and stuff. I see so much like these sayings on shirts and stuff that are in some of the stores around here. Walking through the mall, like the Mall of Asia, it's not good stuff. I'll just say that. They're teaching what they want to teach people. And some of these people, they don't understand. They think it's kind of cute over here when they see a shirt like that, because they don't understand where that comes from. They don't understand that Western men know what that means. They don't have a clue what it means, and they think, you know, they're learning something from that saying or something like that, when it actually they're being kind of brainwashed, I believe. I'm not going to go into what they say, because it can go both ways, you know. But I'm sure you guys understand what I'm trying to say here. And some of the stuff is kind of like feminism, like they're teaching people about feminism, in both like I was saying, in the songs, in the memes, on the shirts, clothing, you know. It's scary. But when it starts carrying into these people's daily life, it's starting to affect us as expats coming over here, because here we are, we're trying to escape all that, and we're kind of being dumped into it. And remember, these are newbies on the block, so they don't know how feminism really works. They don't know how all this stuff works, and they have like their own way of seeing it, and it's much different than the Western way. It's kind of, I won't say it's good, but it's not bad either, you know. It's kind of like in the middle. But eventually I think Western culture will catch up with these people, and it will be just like back in the US. It's just a matter of time. I mean, everything else over here is catching up. I think budgets, cost of living, and everything else is catching up. It's just that we're on the opposite side of the world, so some things are going to be different. The pay is obviously different. The average pay over here is probably like, you know, between $350 to $600 a month, you know, and per person. Yet they pay $60, $80, $100 a month for rent, depending on where they live. And some people pay a little bit more than that, some people a little bit less. Depends whether the family pools money to get a house or something. But people generally, you know, everything else is the same. Kind of food is catching up with people over here. All this stuff is catching up, but they eat different, so they can eat cheap with rice and things like that. But as far as the world catching up with them over here, I think Western life, even Western foods over here, are starting to creep their way in. And as Western foods creep their way in over here, people are getting heavier, less healthy. They want to be more kind of like Western people, like Europeans and Americans and Canadians. They kind of look up to us for things. And I don't really think that Western life really has a lot to offer people like it used to. And certainly it doesn't offer Asia or Filipinas that much, if it's teaching them all the things that we're trying to escape from back in the US by coming over here, you know. And actually we're kind of walking into the same thing. Granted, it's not hitting all the people over here, and we're lucky because it hasn't, but eventually it will. And we're lucky that we still have some girls over here and some women over here that are not getting into that Western culture. They want to stick to their Philippine culture. They want to be women, loving women, and people that want to stand by their men. You know, they don't want any part of this feminist culture or anything like that. Some people are smart enough to see that, but some people are not. And the education level in the Philippines, remember, the average IQ over here is like 80 or 82, or somewhere around there or something like that. It's not that high. I believe it's 82. I think it was the last time I heard. The average IQ in the Philippines is 82. So when they see something like this, and you're learning things, you know, and you want to be educated, you grab on to whatever you can grab onto sometimes. And I think when you're teaching people with a lesser education, they tend to grab onto anything, and they're like, oh, I'm gonna follow this, or I'm gonna follow that. So when they see things on shirts like that, and I've heard them talking, and I'm kind of sitting there scratching my head like this is weird. This is really strange, because they just don't get it. I remember one time, I can't remember what it was, me and Justin's not here right now. He's actually coming back sometime soon. And he and I were talking about this, and I forget what happened. Something happened, and it had something to do with this very subject, and we were talking about it, and it was just weird because we were both talking about this and how strange it is for people over here, because the shirts are basically kind of brainwashing people. And like I said, the songs are too. It's just, when you sit here, it's kind of, I don't know what the word for it is. It's even worse than strange. It's scary, you know. But anyway, guys, I want to talk about that today, because when you get over here, a lot of you new guys, you're gonna see what I'm talking about, and you're gonna be kind of like, what the heck is going on here? Like, you know, like, what are they teaching over here? And it's kind of like their own brand of feminism. They say they do it kind of like in a passive way, but it's kind of their brand of feminism, or Western culture, or whatever. And it's not just feminism, it's a lot of other things. A lot of things that back in the US are being looked at as good, that are really bad. Over here, they're kind of grabbing onto that too, and I'm afraid that if it gets grabbed on too much, the last places on this world that we look to are going to be totally changed, and there are places that had so much beauty and so much to offer, and their culture was really beautiful, that it's not going to be there anymore, because as Western culture creeps in, it destroys. And that's just my thoughts on things, guys. You know, I just thought I'd like to talk about this today, because I thought it was kind of interesting. But anyway, guys, God bless. Take care. I hope you enjoyed today's show. And leave your comments, guys, on this, what you guys think.